Hi everyone, welcome to our weekly discussion about trekking in Nepal. And this week we're going to talk about what are the costs that are involved, but also in comparison to why you would book a guided trek versus why you might choose to trek by yourself, and what are some of the things that you can expect when you book a guided trek in terms of the things that are organized, for example, transportation and accommodation, versus the things that you would need to organize yourself, and what could be some of the hidden costs that might pop up if you go by yourself. So let me just do some intros first, and then we'll get into the topic. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Michelle Hill, and I am an AI consultant and travel coach. And I first came to Nepal, oh my God, it's 9 years ago, a bit over 9 years ago, and trekked to Everest Base Camp. Knew absolutely nothing, didn't know what I was doing. I just randomly chose this trip and came to Nepal thinking that I was giving myself this really tough physical challenge to do. But what it really turned out to be was a real mental challenge. And it really pushed me outside of my comfort zone and really started, for me, a whole personal development journey. And some of the lessons that I learned when I trekked to base camp are still really relevant for me today. And I just, at the end of it, when sometimes you're in the middle of something, you think, oh my God, what have I done? This is so hard. But then when you get to the end and you succeed, you have that feeling of exhilaration. And that's the feeling that you remember. So that prompted me to come back again a couple of years later and trek Annapurna Circuit as well. So that's a little bit about my background and my experiences or love of Nepal. I'm not quite sure what the right word is today, but I'm just going to hand over to our co-host Dinesh Karki so he can introduce himself.
Good morning, everyone from Kathmandu, or Nepal, where I live and born. And as Michelle said, guides from Nepal. I am Dinesh, those who doesn't know my name. And I was born and grew up in the eastern part of Nepal, where the oldest big guy, like big Mount Everest located. Not in the base camp I was born. I mean like 7 hours down valley, like where some local villages were located. And my childhood I spent with my parents where I was born. And at meantime, after I got school leaving certificate, I moved to Kathmandu for my more high school work. I mean, for more study. And then meantime, I started this job. And of course, before I accomplished and accommodated this all things like being a mountain guide and establish your own organizations. Last 10 years, we already running like that companies and served the more than 2,000 tourists in Nepal as a guide, as a owner, everything. I was a porter in beginning. If I'm saying like from my basic best, spent like a half decades as a porter since my early age, been guiding, the porter in Everest region, Annapurna, all over everywhere. So that time there was not weight limit in our time. It was a long time ago. The companies or the guides, they give us a lot of heavy weight, like we carry, basically it was like 25 kg, but we carry sometimes 50, 60 kg also.
Wow.
And plus our bag, our equipment, small bag, it has to be on the top. And then we have like kind of struggling life. But advantage was we also learning like what is life and what is the happiness, what is the emotions, and what is the sadness. After learning so many things, became like help for cook and cooking for the food when we're in the mountain for the customers or trekkers, and then learning so much things. And finally, I became a guide, full guide, where I can take the groups to the mountains with like all the whatever need to do done by the guide. So on with topest level company in Tamil, I have been working more than 12 years, 12 to 14 years as a guide. And then since 2015, well, me and my one of colleagues, we were work together. We started our company. Now we are in same page as Nature Export Trek. So now we are already running like almost 10 years since 2015 to, and we are very happy, and we're doing good, and we meet like more than 1,000 tourists, 1,000 customers for us. And yeah, we can also see now every pages like social medias on TripAdvisor or anything. We are success in 99% because of our hard work, and not only myself, all our guide team and staff, office teams and everything. Yeah, that's we are very happy. And if I'm saying more about me, I'm quite lucky, and I have traveled other countries also, like in West Europe a couple of times, and Asia like Korea, Japan, Malaysia. Of course, India is neighbors country for us, and then Tibet. Tibet we've been many times, and we are specialized also for the Kailas. Kailas is the west part of Tibet, where more than hundreds of groups go every year in the monsoon time, as there is good season for in monsoon because of less rain. And we also one of those operators who take the big groups, and we have been like guiding so many big groups. And also we are specialized in peak climbing, trekking, and like organizing the big trips. Like one of the big trips we have a memories still, and all the times it is our record in country, I think almost all over the world. So eastern part to the western part of Nepal, one of the biggest trip called Upper Great Himalayan Trail. In short form we say GST, but in full form, Upper Great Himalayan Trail, we have been successful done that trip with our one of biggest clients from Scotland. His name is James. So with our team, we did totally different than our. I'm not saying like only us. We did total other organizations also can do that, but we did totally different. Like some examples, we have not break the track. We just continued on with slogan of one team, one goal. That means you're just not changing the team because of our team were very strong and very experienced, knowledgeable of the area, strong knowledge of guide. That's the reason we complete. So it's normally it was 160 days, but we complete in 130 days. It is total 1,800 kilometers from eastern part to West Nepal. If I'm saying the mountain name, you were starting from the Kanchenjunga mountain, which is over 8,000-meter high mountain, over 8,600, something like that. It is third oldest high mountain. Your trekking start from there, and then you will go all the high mountains, crossing so many high passes. Over 6,000, almost you will cross 10 high passes, and then 5,000 is uncountable. Like there will be so many high passes of 5,000 elevation. And then you will meet so many different regions, villages, a lot of people, like a culture, nature, and then you will end your trekking far west of Nepal, which is the border of India, of course. Kanchenjunga also border of India, and then but you will just our Nepal is very small. Everyone knows that. Just you just do the big high low, and then end in the western part of Nepal, the mountain called Saipal Himal. It is the one of the biggest trip in Nepal, I think. So that's we also done. This is an example, but we have done so many others also. So maybe yeah, I'm taking more long time today. Anyway, that's kind of things. And in overall, I would say we're one of the adventure and well organizer trekking company based in Kathmandu, and I think Michelle and I met in 2015, early 2015 in same base. So now we're doing this, and I hope everyone will love to join this adventure trekking, climbing, tour, or anything with us, or anything. We're happy to share the information. Thank you. For now, if this is.
Thank you, Dinesh. And yeah, while you were talking, I was just thinking too that you yourself have just taken a large group to Annapurna Base Camp, a group that comes back regularly for you. But also we have another lady who's just done her very first trek, and we couldn't get her to Lukla because of the weather. So she's done Annapurna Base Camp and just absolutely fallen in love with the place. So we kind of go from really large groups down to just individuals who want to travel but want a guide with them. So let's dive into today's topic. And I often see questions in the different Facebook groups around well, I just want to trek by myself, or I want to go on a guided tour. And I think sometimes when I read these questions, there's not a true understanding of what it actually means to go on a guided tour, and if you come by yourself, exactly what you need to organize to get yourself around to the different areas. And I do know that there are some areas that you can't go without a guide because you require that permit. So let's just start off with I guess running through when somebody books with Nature Explore Trek, what do you actually organize for them once they get to Kathmandu? But I'm just going to pop in first and say, before people get to Kathmandu, Dinesh is very open to having Zoom calls to talk about, let's change the itinerary, let's do a bespoke itinerary, and lots of different messages about changes. And, sometimes what happens is people book a tour and then they see something else that they might want to add, or something comes up and they decide that they want a shorter or a longer time. So this involves quite a lot of communication beforehand. But for now, let's just focus on, so if someone's booked with Nature Explore Trek, what happens from the time that they land at Kathmandu?
Thank you. So let's say, as you're saying, like, of course, when they we got the email, first email, then of course we will start to conversations through the email, and when our conversation is developing more well, and the customers are ready to book trip with us, and then we will have some rules, like to their trip insurance insure with us. We need their passport copy, and then 20% of trip advance for booking here also in advance. After that done, and then we will ask their insurance if they are in high adventure trekking, and then their flight details, because of accordingly that we will catch them in the airport. Otherwise, it will be difficult to catch them. And when let's say some people book in like a couple of years earlier for future, but according when their date is coming for the start of their trip, and then we start like close by close. Of course, customers has a lot of questions. Every time we answer them, like anyone is going somewhere in the mountains, there will be so much question. Is normal, because of they also want to know about internet, they also know about electricity, they also know about food, accommodation, itinerary, of course. As their timetable, we can always make the good itinerary for them as match with their timing. After finalize everything, we all just waiting the day that they are coming, and we go to airport with their name board, like let's say Michelle, welcome to Nepal, Michelle, like with our company name. And then one of those name card, you can look your name, and then one of our office representative or myself will welcome at airport with the garland, the flower of Nepal, which is very special, and that means everything means like you are giving like more love and welcome you in the country. And then you will be transported to the hotel. Yeah. And then as you we know some people, if they have a very tight schedule, they will not stop the next day because they can continue to the trekking. But normally some people, most of the people have extra day in Kathmandu. That day, the buffer day, they can use for the doing some sightseeing in the World Heritage Site, in the like if I'm saying the name like Swayambhunath Temple, Kathmandu Darbar Square, Pashupatinath temples, Bodhanath Stupa, Narayan Temple, all these are World Heritage Site. In the meantime, our team will be prepare the permit, which we need for the trekking, like a permit. Let's say if we go the Everest region, we have to buy the national park ticket. And then we have also other new permit called Teams card, trekking as association of card. This is also we have to take, and so many other documents we prepare. And then at the meantime, on the before they go for the dinner, we have a meeting, pre-departure meeting with all the groups, guide, and photos. That means one of us will be explain everything between all the groups and telling them like where to go, what to go, who is your guide, introducing the guide. and preparation. That means like they will also check your equipment. If you don't have enough, they will suggest you can buy in Kathmandu, or if you have already in your backpack from hometown, from country, then they just check, right? So we do the kind of these things, and then next day, if you are going in Everest, we'll take you to the airport to take a short flight to Lukla, and if you are going to the Annapurna, we'll sort drive to the nearest place where you are trekking is starting. For example, if you're going Annapurna Circuit, we will take you drive to the Besisher and then maybe for a few more town as a car road is going higher. And then basically you will start your trekking from there. And from that day, your guide and porter, and then you will be guidance with them and to complete your whole trip until you come back to Kathmandu. Once you back in Kathmandu, you will be welcome again by our team. And then we have also a farewell dinner in typical Nepali cultural restaurants where you have a bit opportunity to see the local cultural dance of Nepalese ethnic groups. And then we also serve some traditional foods. It's kind of sort introduce. That's we do. And then next day, we will escort you to the airport according to your itinerary for the flight. But let's say if someone is staying instead of going after the trip and then explore the more countryside, then still we help you to explore the other side like Chitwan, Pokhara, Lumbini, whatever, or you want to do the another trekking. That's we always open here, but that's kind of things. And if I'm say about Everest, like we do the same, you will be fly to Lukla, and the most of the local porters you will meet in Lukla. They will not going from here taking a flight. Maybe the cost is adding more for you. So that's the reason every companies or every tourist prepared to have a porter from Lukla. Also, advantage is you giving the job for the local people from there. Yeah. So the porters who work from the Lukla, they were not from the Kathmandu. They all from the same region or maybe nearest town in. So this is another advantage for the country. They are getting job. So you will meet them in Lukla, but you will fly with guide from Kathmandu, and you're trekking to the Everest base camp or any high passes around there, and come back to the Lukla after the trek. You have another farewell with the porter in Lukla, as you will giving bye-bye. You're leaving them to Lukla, and then you just say bye-bye there. You will just leave your footprint there, and you just take back to your memories with you. Back to Kathmandu, same thing. We have like some farewell program, and then we do that. So sometimes Lukla flight can be delayed because of the weather, as it is in the airport is close to located in the mountain side. That's reason we would always suggest to have few extra days with you when you're coming for this trip, because it's much easier for you. Yeah, that's what we do normally. And whatever, if I'm say shortcut, we need the documents, we prepare the documents. We also arrange for your hotel. We also arrange for transportations. We also guiding you like the professional guide who you meet in briefing day. That is your guide. We normally manage the good guides who can tell you and introduce in front of you. We are not saying like your guide is in Lukla, go and meet there. We don't say that. I have seen so many people doing that, but we're totally different. We just introduce front to front. Let's say if there is any questions, answers, that's clear. Let's say if clients not feel comfortable with E or C, then we can also exchange their meantime. That's very clear. We do that all the time. And I still we're doing. And the permits, things and documents we prepare. Thank you. I think I covered your questions.
Okay. Well, I have one quick question. When you're on the trail, obviously the accommodation at the tea house is included. Do you also cover the food, or do the people buy their own and choose their own depending on what they want?
Well, most of we sell the package trip, which comes all the accommodations, food, and hot drinks,
right?
Including the transportations like by ear or by driving, any else. Yeah, the food, accommodations, and drinks, hot drinks is included, guide, order everything. Just exclude your bar menu. Like let's say if you have a cold drinks like a Coca-Cola, beer, bottle of water like mineral waters, these are extra. Because of it, we don't know how much you want and what type of beer you're doing. These things like sometimes it's not included. And also another thing, let's say some people want to pay by them for their food for lunch and dinner. Of course they can. And but still we can arrange the guide, porter, accommodations, transportations. So that's
Yeah. I think for me personally, because I think when I went to Everest Base Camp, the food wasn't included. So I had to make sure I had enough cash to pay along the way. And then when I went to Annapurna Circuit, it was included. And I found that a lot easier because it is a little bit difficult, particularly if this is your first trek, to actually figure out, well, how much cash do I need to carry with me so that I can pay for all of my food along the way, and not really having a good understanding of how much food I'm going to want, because I know the higher up in altitude I got, the less I really felt like eating. And but how much would a meal cost and how much should I allow? So I guess particularly if it's your first time in Nepal, to have all of those things covered so that you don't have to worry about all the little details, and you just literally like turn up and the guide says, okay, let's go, and you start walking. One of the things for me personally that I found really lovely when I was doing the trek was the fact that I didn't have to make decisions. Like when you're home and you're working or you're running a business, every day there's hundreds of decisions to make. And then when I was in Nepal out on the trail, it was kind of like, the biggest decision was, what am I going to order for breakfast? But apart from that, it was literally just enjoying being in the countryside. So I think that's one of the things that if you choose to do your trip yourself, you still have those decisions to make. And whilst that's not a huge issue, it could become, like, particularly as I say, if it's your first time in Nepal, it could start to become not onerous, but just, oh, I wish I didn't have to keep deciding this. So now the other thing that I had on my little list to ask you about too is that sometimes there's hidden costs that people who are planning to trek by themselves haven't thought about. So what would be some examples of some of those things that perhaps people haven't thought about in advance?
The extra cost, you mean?
Yes, yeah.
On the trekking, let's say if you're trip each full package, like a full board. So, but you still you have some extra cans, as Michelle already mentioned, for the bar, cold drinks. Normally they don't include it, and also in the mountain area they will charge in mountain higher section of the trekking. Sometimes they will charge you for your charging your phone device, and for the
Okay.
internet,
Yeah.
and then for the shower, because normally the mountain accommodation are basic, like just twin sharing beds in basic rooms. And if you want to have hot shower, so you need to take in the bucket water, maybe in
Can
during
I
like
can I
bucket
just
shower.
Can I just tell you, I
Yeah.
paid for a hot shower one time, and when I got in, got undressed, and then when I turned the tap on, this little dribble of water came out, and it wasn't even close to being hot. And that apparently was the best it got.
Yeah, and then you need like a few bucks for that,
Yeah.
And sometimes, let's say, you want to eat something different. Of course, maybe the package you got food, maybe you want different than that. Let's say you want to go for the coffee. Most of the places nowadays they have a good bakery,
Yeah.
machine coffee, like
Mm,
cafe latte and Himalayas coffee. You can get
right.
some lessons on the trek. So for that, you need some cash. And also, I want to mention, still until this year, there is not so many places you got ATM in the route on the trekking or any exchange place. Whatever you got your local currency from hometown, you can change in Kathmandu, as it is the capital city of Nepal, where you will get good rate. But same thing, if you want, let's say if you're thinking I can change anywhere I want, you cannot. You can get some changing, but some from the local people, they will give you very less rate. That
Mm,
means you lose your money. So it's better you can change in Kathmandu. So always your tour operator, like the guide or any person will tell you like roughly how much you need it. So let's say if you do the Everest Base Camp, I always suggest my clients exchange at least 400 to 500 US dollar with you, because of if you don't expense your all money, you can back down to Kathmandu and convert into the US dollar or any your country currency and take back
Yeah.
to you. You
Yeah.
also need money for the tipping your guide and porter, as it is the traditional way, as we learned even myself. So we do the best, we try to do our best job, and then at the end, expecting little tips from
Yes.
you. So
Yeah.
no matter how much you want to give, but normally the good tip for the porter and guide, so they will be much help you, much happy, and then because of they help you, and then
Yeah.
also they will feel blessed. You got a bless on your journey.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
helping someone.
Yeah. And I know for us, when we got back to Lukla, it was fogged in. Like I'm talking, you could only see a few meters away. And apparently it had been like that for a few days. So in the morning when we were due to fly out, we got told that there was a group coming from Kathmandu in a helicopter, but landing further down the mountain. And instead of the helicopter going back empty, if we wanted to buy a seat in the helicopter, we could, but we had to have cash. And I think from memory, it was around $200 US or maybe 300 US, but like it was, you couldn't put it on your credit card, like you just simply had to pay cash. And I know there was a couple of people in our group who were madly trying to round up some cash and see if they could, if there was an ATM, or and they were lending each other money and all this sort of stuff. So sometimes there's really unexpected things like that where you get the opportunity to jump on something like that to get you out of bad weather, but if you don't have cash, you can't get on. So I just thought I would add that as well. And I think also too, what I'd like to just touch on, and this is probably not so relevant for people who've been to Nepal a few times or who are familiar with Nepal, but especially if you are new to Nepal, that going with a guide who knows the trail, knows the territory, knows the locals, knows where to stay, ensures that your trip is actually a lot safer. So did you want to make any comments around that, Dinesh?
I think you already covered. We already covered.
All
Yes.
right.
I just want to add something on this.
Yeah.
Yes. I can also see in during my last 22 years of journey as guiding as a owner now. Still, I'm more guide than owner because I love to go on trekking with the groups as a guide. So of course, there's a lot of advantage to have a guide with you, especially when you are going trekking to the longer trekking like Everest Base Camp, Annapurna Circuit, and high passes, and remote area of Nepal like Dolpo, Kanchenjunga, Manaslu, and Tibet, Bhutan. So the guide is like compulsory. Because
Mm.
of the guide who going with you, of course, you have to find the good guides. There's so many different guides. I would not say every guide is nice. Sometimes some guide can be not enough about the region, or they can be learner, so that you have to be careful. Otherwise, when you have a good guides, so definitely you will have the good trip. Because of they will show you the good place, they will lead you with safety and security every time when we're starting trekking, no problem. We are in the lower elevations, but when we're raising up in the higher section of the trekking, of course we will be very close to the mountains, close to the high passes, close to the like a different terrain, a lot of up and downs. And also, I would like to say, that Nepal is always up and downs. Even if we say gradual, but it's mountain because it is the mountain country.
Yeah.
And when you have a guide with you, there will be no doubt about showing the trail or leading you on the right trail, and then safety of accommodation and food. I mean, in big season, when in peak season, all the accommodation are full sometime in mountain because of there is not so many big hotel, not so big capacities, and every hotel has. So if you have a guide at that time, they will book an advance. And also in the difficult times, let's say sometime we can face the difficult times, like let's say it's snowing immediately sometime. So we will do that. At that time, if you have guide, so he can suggest you the right decision, he can give you the right decision, he can give you the good suggestion for the following days. If stuck on the mountains, so communication with the representative person. So that time, if you are joining with guide and companies, so the company will be the responsible person to rescue you, right? And if in case someone got injured, we don't know, it is we're traveling in the mountain, we're trekking in the mountain. Trekking means not walking in the flat, that we're going to challenge with the nature, challenging with the rock, challenging with avalanches, challenging with the ice. So that time could be happen anything. But if you have your professional guide who's going to lead you trail, who's going to give you all the suggestions, who will communicate with the locals or anyone's there, what I mean, the trip you will make you the memorable without any issues on your trekking. So I also saw so many other individuals also doing by themselves. But on the way we meet, they have a lot of problems. The problem means they're just losing the trail, going on different locations, and not accommodations for them because of no booking. And in the mountain, there is not system for booking in the internet. There is still not enough internet. So there's no phone. And then they just sleep in the dining hall. It's, in the cold time, if you sleep in dining hall with a lot of locals, so you will have not comfortable sleep. That means you will be starting sick. Or maybe your food will come very late. If you have a guide porter, they will give you the good service because of they go to the kitchen and help in the cook, and then asking the cook all the time, giving my food for my clients, and they give you in the on time, and they will also give you some extra blanket on top of your sleeping bag. Like in the cold time, you can keep in warm. This also helps for you. But if you don't have any your crews with you, so you just have to wait. There's not rules like I'm first, I'm second, I'm third. It's like especially in the mountain. Okay, Nepalese are very friendly. I'm not. Don't think me wrong. I mean, like every people are very happy. But whatever I'm trying to tell means in the remote area, in the high section of the trekking, so many trekkers staying in the same small guest houses. That means it will be a lot of crowd. It's like, let's say, in Gorakhpur, before we reach the base camp, the Gorakhpur is the last stop of the Everest base camp. There is like 4-5 hotels, like guest houses, not hotel actually. So where you sleep in the same guest house and eat in the same restaurant. So that means hundreds of trekkers waiting in dining hall to eat their dinner. And if you are individuals, of course, you will also waiting here. You're giving your order, you're waiting. But there is a lot of pressure for the kitchen who working this. And if you have your own team, they will just doing like extra work to give you this. But if you are like individuals, you will get the food, of course, but maybe not on time, I mean. Right? This is a simple example. This is simple example. But if you have like any difficulties on the trail, let's say avalanche scam, or you got hit by rock on head, or you got injury, or you lost trail, or you got altitude sickness. So who's gonna help you? I saw so many trouble, and they're just coming down by them, try to come down, and they could not reach in the camp. They did because of not enough guidance, and they lost their life there. And another bad accidents for individuals. Yeah. Like sometime when the people trekking in the forest area of the trekking, they lost the trail and they go in dislocation, right? And they went fell down. And then we never found them such an accident. Every season it happening, So no matter what's the budget, you're also helping the countries and giving some opportunities or jobs to the locals. Hire the guide. Maybe if you're not happy enough, you can buy your food by yourself, but at least take one guide or porter with you. That means your trip also going to be success and helpful, security and safety. It will come back home safely with a lot of memories of Himalayas, and also you giving some job opportunities for the locals. There's a lot of benefits also, and you also have a good safety to back to home. So that's you can do that. It's my request, but it's still I would not say you cannot do trekking individuals. You can do that, but it's only our suggestions.
Yes. And And that's all we can do. Now,
Yeah.
before we finish up, I just wanted to share some of the testimonials on TripAdvisor that Dinesh and his crew have received over the last few months. So just bear with me while I get the screen up. Right. So I'm assuming that you can see the presentation there that says client testimonials. So this is just some of the testimonials that we've received. I just went through and randomly chose some, and pretty much on TripAdvisor, just about every review that Nature Explore Trek, Dinesh and his guides and porters have received are 5-star. And as you can see, this was couples that trekked together, and this was for, where were we? Around to Pokhara.
It is in I think
Yeah.
it is in the Muktinath, Jomsom.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was in April this year. And then we have a solo trekker, best vacation Everest. Now, this is where someone's mentioned that Dinesh has met them at the airport and arranged everything, and how good the guide and the porter were. And then the next one is from June with a group of friends. And this one was for, I can't remember.
Kailas.
You probably know better than I do. But as you can see, like, we're not showing you reviews from years ago. These are recent reviews. And these were people who did climbing with the crew at Nature Explore Trek as well. And as you can see, everybody is pretty much unanimous in that the crew at Nature Explore Trek are going to look after you as if you were one of their own, basically. And this was, again, a group of friends, and this was Annapurna Circuit. Was this part of the yoga group?
No, different group.
Different group, right.
Yeah.
And then this is another review of Annapurna Base Camp.
Yeah.
So just from a few weeks ago. So
yeah.
Sorry, what were you going to say, Dinesh?
This is very recent reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to stop sharing now, but I wanted to just show people who are watching this that we're not just talking about this stuff, that really, like, everybody who comes with you really, really appreciates all the hard work that you put into making their experience amazing. So I am going to leave the discussion there. If you would like to talk about planning your own special adventure with us, reach out. It's natureexploretrek.com/contact. So just fill out the form, and then we'll either be emailing you, or if you would prefer to have a discussion, if that would be quicker, if you've got lots and lots of questions. Sometimes it's easier just to jump on a Zoom call for 20 minutes or so and just run through the questions rather than having 15 emails backwards and forwards. So I hope that you've got a lot out of today. There's a lot of information there to digest, and we will be back again next week.
Yeah.
So namaste, everyone.
Namaste from Nepal also.